Hi and welcome back to the best thing you watched this week. Got Chris from Movies and Munchies, myself, Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. For the last almost 3 years, we've been doing this podcast/videocast where we talk about the best things we watched. And the general formula for that is we take a selection of TV series and movies. We talk about whether that kind of made it into the list of whether it's great or good. Then we'll talk about something in the audio exclusive. This week we've got a couple of interesting ones. We have a Patreon that's also kind of follows on from the audio exclusive. If you want to see more of us, that just starts at £1, and we have over 65 videos there at the moment. We're going to be doing a deep dive into The Descent this week, so if you want to hear us talk about that, that was great. We recently did a deep dive into Magnolia. That's like a 40-minute discussion. Who knew we could talk that much about Magnolia? But we're in spooky month, yes. Hence the reason for the way I woke up this morning and Chris's amazing background. But before we start, whatever we do, don't forget to like and subscribe. I know it's tacky asking for it, but it does help us in kind of turning this thing into I guess more than just a hobby. We want to do it more than for fun, make money and do a career out of it. So if you enjoy it and you spend time watching it, do share it around to your friends and family. If you're listening on the audio, like it, rate it, all of that kind of stuff. That does actually help us, and we appreciate your eyeballs and listening. Chat to us in the comments about what you would like us to cover, whether it's TV series, movies. We'll add it to our list because there's too much for us to cover, and a lot of things just kind of, we don't even hear about. We've got like friends on Twitter. I say friends, our community on Twitter that are recommending Paul Nolan. He's often recommending anime or movies or series. So there's just, a good community. So welcome to the best thing we watched this week. Every week we start with a movie quote quiz. And Chris will give us the answers to last week's. And then he will, I presume, give us some more.
No, I'm not doing it.
Okay, cool.
Moving on. Yeah. Okay, shout out first off to Red Comet and Tara Briscoe for getting the theme and the things correctly, the quotes correctly. The answers,
nice.
Elizabethtown, one that I'm pretty sure you're going to get, Kingdom of Heaven, and then the last one, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. With the theme being Orlando Bloom. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I like all three of those films. Elizabethtown, I feel, is very underrated.
Oh, yeah. We watch that often because it's just, it's cute and funny and just that right amount of snark and heart also. Okay. Are you ready for this week's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Number 1. Not exactly. Sparkling Muscatel. One of the finest wines of Idaho. Number 2. She's not my type. I like them, I don't know, kind of dirty or something. Okay. Number 3. You dirt-eating piece of slime. You scum-sucking pig. You son of a motherless goat.
That's a good one. I might be able to work out the
because
rest
of
from
the
that one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Nice. That's really good.
Oh man. So let us know in the comments. We will give you the shout out in the next episode. When you do guess on either Ruben's channel or my channel, make sure you put a little bit of space in there just to, let everybody have an opportunity to guess or to hate on how obscure some of these may be. But Ruben, as per usual, what kind of question do you have for us this week? Or do you have a question for us this week?
Yeah, no, I totally have one. There's this discussion going on Twitter/X at the moment, which I always like to kind of bring that here if it's a good discussion on entertainment and has relevance to us, obviously. Way back when cinema first came into being and we started getting those big epics, we had films like Ben-Hur, Cleopatra, and then, more recently, Return of the King, Lord of the Rings. These films were 4 hours. Return of the King is 4.5 hours. But a lot of the times, especially the first time they're showing, they have intermissions in between those films. Now, there's this conversation where people are talking about bringing intermission back for films that are longer than 2.5 hours. Because that's, give people that have small bladders, times to go out, not moan about it. Because there's these filmmakers at the moment, you've got Nolan's, you've got Scorsese, you've got I'm trying to think of a few others, but like Denis, Spielberg, they are all making epics, and they seem to be getting longer and longer. Even the Marvel ones, if they're wrapping up a few films, it's going to be 3 hours. We know that Scorsese's new film, I think, is over 3 hours.
Yes.
Killers of the Flower Moon. Is that right? Yeah. And that's kind of what spawned the question is, should there be a thing now where cinemas allow people to have a break and there be a short, and it doesn't even need to be 10 minutes, 5 would be good. Intermission, we'll start again. You can go and get popcorn. It might be a great way to get cinemas to have that little boost of revenue. Relieve your bladder. You don't miss anything out. That might be a key moment. How many times did you know you've held out because you were hoping that you were going to get to a quiet moment? As soon as you leave, you shut that door and you you come back and everybody's like, "Oh my God, that thing happened!" You're like, "Damn it!" What's your thoughts on intermission?
I am all for that. The past couple of times that I've seen an Indian movie in the theaters that's been, close to 3 hours long, they have an intermission, which I appreciated, because there were times where I'm like, this is perfect. Yes, I got to go, come back. I feel relaxed. I can, enjoy the movie again and actually be present for it versus being focused on my bladder. I mean, golly, when we saw Avatar: The Way of Water, I was walking slowly but as fast as I could, bent over like in utter pain. I was risking bladder infection and stuff because I had to pee so bad. But on that first viewing, I didn't know what I could miss and not miss.
Also, if you got there early, like a lot of people do, you get ads and trailers. You end up, like, if you're watching a 4-hour film, that's 5 hours that you've sat there.
Exactly. Yeah. So I am all for this. I think, though, too, that this could benefit theaters in addition to not only how you're talking about, because that is an excellent point about the concessions and the boost in revenue there, but I think people may be more apt to go if they know there's an intermission versus, if I'm at home, I'm in the comfort of my home. If I need to go, I can pause it and go do, grab a snack. Yeah,
it's another reason to go to the cinema and experience it, because you can take a break at some point.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and the Ridley Scott's Napoleon is coming out. There was news, though, that he is creating a over 4 hour director's cut specifically for Apple after the theatrical release.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, which is okay, fine. It's over 4 hours, and so yes, that's an event right there. Which is not. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility, because how many shows do we binge that have like 6 or 8 episodes, and we just.
Of course, we're just like go through, especially if they're good. You're like,
so it's not the amount of length. I think it's just the ability to take a break for a moment. And I think you brought up the extra revenue for the theaters via the concessions, the opportunity to get more concessions. That is an excellent argument.
Just stretch after like 2.5 hours. Go to the toilet, go get myself a bag of popcorn for other than the reason of just walking about a few meters, and then sitting down again. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But
excellent question.
What do you think in the comments? I can't hear you. You speak up?
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
No. I can't hear the people in the comments.
I can't hear them either.
Yeah. What? Speak louder. All right, there's enough of this crappy dad joke. Should we get into
Yes, let's do that.
The best thing we watched this week. Cool. Would you like to start? How much have you got?
I don't have very much.
Okay, I'll start then. I finally get to talk about the Fall of the House of Usher, because you reviewed this weeks ago, but it finally came out yesterday when we're recording this. I'd had it for weeks, and I'll be honest, the first five episodes. I struggled to get through, not because I didn't enjoy it. I just thought they were very long, drawn out, and I do think it's going to split audiences because for me, it's the least scariest one, but it also has some of the best visually grotesque moments. So there's it's a weird thing to say, that I didn't find it like scary. It was just intense mostly, and then there's some really gross moments. The episode 2, last 10 minutes of episode 2, do not eat while because that is some of the grossest television that would put the Red Wedding in its place. Seriously,
unexpected.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot.
Yes, it was.
I was like, however, the dialogue and the script with the actors that we have, the caliber of monologues are just incredible. But for me, Gucciano, how do you pronounce her name?
Gugino, I think.
Gugino, yeah. I think she stole the series every time she was on screen, and she also gets to play multiple characters, and seeing how she embraces that. At one point, she's jumping up on the table, being something else. No spoilers, but so aesthetically, actingly, dialoguely, the way it looks, fantastic, brilliant. I'm not sure the ending is the big payoff that everybody wants it to be. I kind of saw what it was coming. I think it's the journey that makes this enjoyable. So and enjoyable is not really even the right word, because none of these characters, I think there's one that are people you are rooting for to survive. You more likely want to know how they're going to die. That's the story. There's this ending that I've heard some reviewers say that was really cheesy, because there's a couple of moments where they literally quote a segment of Edgar Allan Poe's, that there's a narration, and they thought that was really cheesy, and I've heard a few reviews of that. I thought it was brilliant. I loved the way that wrapped it up and did it really nicely, because that just pays homage to the master, but also, what the hell are we watching? It makes perfect sense to end it that way. I thought those. I don't get the cheesiness, but I've seen a couple of people mention that. I was like, nah, I don't think that's true. I thought it was perfect.
Did they not understand that it was Poe?
No, they did. I just, yeah.
Okay.
Anywho, so
interesting.
It's not my favorite.
Sure.
Of his. But it may be my favorite acting. Like, most of the actors here get a chance to really shine and do some meaty performances. Of course, they're mostly nasty, and you know, I love to hate some of the characters. Possibly the weakest part of this was we don't know a lot about these characters or how they got there. And so we're just thrust into this is what's happening to them right now, and by all intents and purposes, they really suck as human beings. I can't really talk more about it without doing spoilers, because it's one of those, you talk about a thing and that reveals the bit of the character, but there are like defining character motifs or moments that really set them up as a character that's great to watch, but also like, yeah, you just need to die. You're like, you're horrible.
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe some of the reason that the conclusion is a little less satisfying, or maybe just a little anticlimactic, is because we're told what happens at the very beginning, and then we watch how that came about. I thought it was really creative that Flanagan took all kinds of Poe stories and made each episode a focus of one of Poe's things.
It's almost like an anthology, isn't it? I mean, that is really clever.
Yeah, to then tie it back in with this larger arc.
With the main arc. Yeah.
Like, I was thrilled. I mean, it was weird at first. It definitely was, where you're like, I don't see how this is really the fall of the House of Usher. This is not, but other than in name only, but I thought it was creative. I thought, it worked well for how he wove that all together, and having each episode give prominence to one character each time, I thought was nice. Yeah. You're absolutely right, though. They were strangers to us. I mean, okay, so you're a bad person, and I can see that. You may have a little bit of redeeming qualities here or there or whatever, but more often than not, you're the product of your family.
Yeah, and that's what I complain most about in terribly written stories, is like, if your bad guy is just bad for the sake of being bad, then I don't care about them at all. Like, I want to care about the bad guys. I want to have the reason as to why. I want to wrestle with that a little bit. But most of the time I wasn't wrestling. I was just like, ooh, she's here. Let's see what she's going to do.
Exactly. Yeah. How are you going to die? You know, or what?
Yeah. I know it's going to be bad.
Yeah. So that, I know you asked in your review, and I haven't gone back to scour through the episodes, but did you see the mirror from Oculus?
I didn't.
Okay, because there's what
I looked. I think there might be one at actually the last episode.
Oh, okay.
Where the guy is sitting. It could be.
Okay.
But I need to go back and check.
Because there's one episode that focuses on Samantha Sloyan, and there are a lot of mirrors just in the surroundings.
Oh, it totally could be.
And I was like, that's where I really was like, trying to see, and I couldn't see the frame, so I don't know. Maybe it was there quick, maybe it was in the background more, I don't know, but anyway.
Okay, so for context, if you're listening in audio or you're watching, you don't know, Flanagan in each of his movies, ever since, is it Oculus with the mirrors from? Yeah, he puts that mirror in some form, same shape, like in Gerald's Game, it was like the headboard. It's in every one of his projects, so it's a little like fun Easter egg. Rather than putting yourself in the movie, do that, which is much better.
I love it. Because it's so subtle and creative.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, nice.
So, what's first on your list to talk about this week?
This was a surprise for me. Apple has a new series, a limited series with Brie Larson called Lessons in Chemistry. And it's based on a wildly popular book. Didn't read the book.
Okay.
My wife read the book. My daughter-in-law read the book. They were, they loved the book. Been chomping at the bit for the series. My wife watched it with me. Now, we watched all episodes, so I've seen the entire series. Holy crap. Do you remember when we watched Paul Walter Hauser in Blackbird, and we were like, there was this moment where you're like, he's disappeared. I see this new character and I'm enthralled with him. That's how Brie Larson is in this.
Great, because a lot of the time I watch her, and that was what I was worried about going into this. Is it Brie Larson playing a character?
For me, she disappeared, and we get this very consistent, quirky, slightly damaged, but trying character. And she's off-putting to some people, but that's because of just how direct she is, part of her personality. This is more like we get to watch her act in this versus the Marvel stuff where she puts on the suit and just does the action.
I mean, you're just directed. You don't do much acting in those movies.
Exactly. She is naturally funny, which is outstanding. Like, I laughed so many times in this series, and it is not a comedy. But and she wasn't telling jokes either. That was the thing. It was smart quips, and that's credit to the writing and then her delivery. Because she was able to capture what the writers put down and make it believable and natural in the course of a conversation, which I'm like, ooh, that was burn, or, oh, that was hilarious. Whatever that is. She is, the whole series is about this chemist named Elizabeth Zott, and it's just following her life. And it's more of it's not slice of life, because we get a good chunk of her life, but it's how she struggles, because she is a chemist. She has her master's degree, and there's a reason she didn't get her PhD. But she's working in a lab with all kinds of other chemists who are all male, and they all have PhDs. Of course. And
it's period.
It is period. Drama? Yeah. It's like late 50s. Early 50s, late 50s, something like that, So
there's always going to be that man and the woman should be in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah. And there are some excellent conversations that capture it perfectly. Like Rainn Wilson plays the head of a TV station, and part of the context of this is that she at some point is no longer working in a chemistry lab, and she's offered a role to do a cooking show. Now that fits in because all throughout the series, from the very get-go, we watch her cooking, and she treats it like chemistry because, you know, she knows how the chemicals and all of the things break down and attach and everything, and why it makes something better or worse. You know what I mean? And so she's really, it's fascinating to watch because I don't think about that when cooking. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, does that taste good? No, it needs more salt. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
Is it preachy? Is it men are bad because they look down on women, or does it have its message in there without being preachy? Because it's an interesting balance to try and come across it.
I'm going to insult a lot of people, but if you're an incel and you're insecure in your masculinity and you're a toxic person, then yes, it's very preachy, and it's pointing out all of the insecurities that you have as a man. If though you're not, it's not preachy at all. I thought it was funny. I thought it captured the time period perfectly. It addressed the things that, you know, you have this woman who is, which we know happened, you know, not in one thing or in one instance, and not collectively, but individually all around during that time. You have women challenging the status quo to, you know, to move forward, to progress, to be able to be in certain careers and everything. Not just, well, you stay at home, you make your husband a drink when he comes home because he has had a hard day, you know. And some of the writing, I mean, it tackles that, but it's I never took it as preachy because it was like, yeah, that's just accurate.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's good. If it comes across authentic rather than preachy, it's just what was happening in the day. How long is it? And did you watch the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing. I binged it over 2 days, and that was only because I ran out of time. Because I was like captivated to it. I was just like, oh my gosh, we got to keep watching. It's 8 episodes, 50-ish minutes, you know.
Okay.
45 to an hour
7
or
hours
something like that.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a decent chunk. Part of it is slower storytelling, not boring. And if you've read the novel, which again I didn't, but my wife did, so she was able to tell me what had changed, what had been omitted. Sometimes they combine characters, or they, you know, whatever that is.
Color change.
Yeah, they did combine some characters. They flopped some ordering of certain things. They omitted some parts, but she said that it kept to the spirit of the book. So, like, she was satisfied with it because it didn't deviate so far from the story where it's telling something different. It was just like, well, for the visual medium, we're going to do it this way instead. And to cut down on the number of characters that we have, we're going to take this person and this person, and we're going to make them one. Something like that. Bill Pullman's son, Lewis Pullman, who's in Top Gun Maverick. He is the other star in this, and he is awesome. Together, he is quirky in his own right. He is damaged in a way also. There's a whole storyline for him. It was just the way it all comes together, I thought was beautifully executed. You get humor that fits well, that is not forced. You get a lot of drama. You get a lot of heartfelt moments. There's a slight mystery to a character's like background. It's pretty predictable. But again, that's not detrimental to the story that you predict it, because it's actually the outcome you want.
So
how
how sciencey is it? Is it like, because I love stuff like Bones, the series. They used to like really go into like how they're getting the body and like putting in pieces, because it's called Lessons in Chemistry. It alludes to some of that.
There is some of that. I mean, you don't need to understand it, because she breaks it down, they break it down. And when they go into, when we have sequences of them in the lab doing experiments or something, it's either edited so that it's compressed, so that we don't lose interest of watching somebody watch.
Yeah, of course, you don't want to like actually Bunsen burner.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Like,
minute 17, nothing
Potions
has
class
happened.
live.
Yeah, exactly. But so it moves along quickly. It explains enough about things, but the science itself is not the central focus. It's the building block for the whole series, and why she is where she is, and how that then puts her on a course to where she ends up. But it's
on the cooking show on the TV.
That's part of it.
The focus.
That's part of it. It's more of her emotional journey,
right?
And watching her grow, and because we
that must be tough to end. Does it have a good ending?
I loved the ending. I thought it was very sweet. Okay. It was very satisfying. If you're a cynic, it's schmaltzy. But you know what?
No, I need that in my life.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasant, satisfying conclusion. It felt natural. Also, we do get a little bit of time jumps here and there throughout it, but it's not so big, and it's not so confusing or anything else. I mean, it ends, I think, at least for me, how I wanted it to end.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's good. Yeah, sounds really interesting. I'm definitely putting that on my watch list.
Dude, yeah, it is. It's the first 2 dropped already, first 2 episodes, and then it's 1 episode after that weekly. Yeah, and because they're long enough, it's I think it's worth hanging out and watching it each week. After episode 2, that they are just cruel by only dropping for 2 episodes, because after episode 2, you're going to be like,
what's going to happen
Wait
next?
a minute.
Well, that keeps you invested. I remember when Friday nights were like events on TV, you getting that end, you're like, damn it. Especially if it was a 2-parter.
Yeah, yeah. So put it on your list. I mean, I gave it 5 out of 5.
Oh, okay. So
loved
really good.
It. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. As of recording this, Amazon Prime Video, well, they want us to call it Prime Video. So Prime Video released a new film that they recently acquired called The Burial. Stars Jamie Foxx, Tommy Lee Jones, Journey Smollett, Alan Ruck, and one of my favorite actors working at the moment, Mamadou Afi. However you pronounce his name, dude is a legend. I like him so much.
Yes. I pronounce it Atier. I don't know if that's right.
Atier. Okay,
I'm
cool.
Just making
I have no idea. Okay, so I wasn't expecting much from this movie. I know it's based on a true story. I think that there's a lot of this that is true. And I expected the performances to be somewhat good, at least with Tommy Lee Jones. But when it comes to Jamie Foxx, there's some performances that he chooses that are just don't work for him, or the way it was directed, the way it was edited, don't put him in the best of light. But then there's some that are just phenomenal. So I find like a mismatch. I mean, I guess that can be with any actor, but for the most part, when it's Tommy Lee Jones, I'm just like, yeah, I know he's going to be good. just whatever. Surprisingly, it is them that holds your attention. Their relationship that they form is the thing that carries this movie. But then you get the true story. It's a David and Goliath story. It feels like you're sort of on a John Grisham story, but lawyer.
Okay.
How do I explain this? So Tommy Lee Jones is a guy basically that owns a number of funeral homes, and he also has an insurance business. They kind of go hand in hand with each other. He's a veteran. He took on his father's business, but he's been in debt ever since, trying to keep his business. He has something like 34 children and grandchildren, like a massive family, and he wants to like before he dies, he wants to set them up so that they are okay. He's looking after them. So he was building for his whole life. He's been building this nest egg. It's just not working out. So he goes to this company through his lawyer that's been like a long time friend, saying, I will sell you off 2 of mine, because he has a number of funeral homes. I'll sell you off two of mine as long as you don't do business of insurance where I live as part of the deal. They say, yeah, this guy schmoozes him, and then the deal never just doesn't happen. They go quiet. And basically they're waiting for his business to die out so they can take it and swoop in. So really nasty stuff. And the more we find out about this guy, the more you realize how much he's like the business that wants to buy all of it and hold all the cards and then massively hike up the prices in poor areas so that they can't afford it, but they're the only person that they can go to get it, and then offer them a loan at a really high percentage so they can try and pay for it. Yeah, it's just, and it's all true, and we know it is. So in comes Jamie Foxx, who is a lawyer, but he's one of those lawyers that you would totally see as advertising on TV. Oh, like accident lawyer. And he's built himself up a career doing really well. He's got himself a private jet. He's that type of guy that he takes cases he knows he can win as well. But this type of law he doesn't practice. So it takes what was the guy's name I was just mentioning? Mamadou. Yeah, it takes him to go and speak to him to try and convince him to take this on as to why it would be worth. And then when he finds out how big of a company this is, he only does cases that are like 75 million or more. That sort of it's a big. So along the way, they form this endearing relationship. Most of the time, Jamie Foxx's character is sort of racist. He doesn't deal with white folks ever. He only takes on black clients. Yeah, that's fair enough. And then at the same time, Tommy Lee Jones's lawyer is totally white and also has some prejudices against black people. So it has this underlining conversation that's going on, and in the place that they're going to be trying their trial great is mostly African black American as well. So the jury is mostly black. The lawyers from both teams are the best of the black. So you have this war that is color without it even being about color. And it's just fascinating to see like how the lawyers try and get one up each other, how they break each other's crosses. Like if you're a fan of law programs, you're gonna love it. But what carries it is the relationship. So there's not any action, there's not any like tense or thriller, but it surprisingly is tense because this guy has his whole life hanging on the line in this. Like if he loses it, he's gonna lose everything. And the same with the lawyer. Like if he loses this will be like his company's, his law firm, probably down the drain because he's putting a lot out there. He's never lost a case. Like it's as massive. This company will decimate you because they have lawyers that have lawyers. That sort of thing. And so it's definitely a David and Goliath story. But I was surprised at how entertaining this was. It's totally slow. It's a film that's as basic as you expected. It's these guys trying to beat these guys in a trial, and for some reason it just has that magic that keeps you riveted and keep watching. And I was like, yeah, I know it's not as good as, let's say, The Firm or those sort of big lawyer films, but this one just has heart. You kind of really like the characters, so you're rooting for them, which is probably why it's tense.
Well, and a lot of the time courtroom dramas are more thrillers, or at least some of the blockbuster ones are more thrillers that involve court cases. So this is a very dialogue driven. Is that?
Yes, massively dialogue driven.
Is it? Is it smart dialogue? Like, does it, or is, like witty and just it's like you should pay attention to it. It's not something that just plays in the background.
No, I don't think so. No. There's very little phrases that you won't get, like if it's lawyering, but it's not dumb. At the same time, it's like, it's all about relationships. It's about his wife, Tommy Lee Jones's wife, and what they're going through with their kids. And there are moments that are just spectacular, especially when they start. There are moments when they've won the day, like in court, and how they do that. It's just, that feels smart and clever.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't think everybody's going to tune in. They'll look at the synopsis and go, "Yeah, this looks boring as heck," and I'll be like, "You're going to miss out."
Good to know. I'm going to put it on my list. So that's rock on. Okay. My next one is an older film. I've been going through horrors, thrillers, stuff like that, just for fun, because it is spooky season, and, put out some reviews if I can. I'm trying to just get on things that aren't necessarily current. I've watched some that are from decades ago, and like one that I'm going to be talking about in the audio only. It was an experience, but I'm trying to hit things that I've never seen before. I was looking on IMDb, just going through like some of the, just horror lists, just to try and get some ideas. And I saw one, and it was called Ouija, or Ouija, however you want to pronounce it. And I looked that up, or I did a Google search or whatever, and one of them said Mike Flanagan directed. And I'm like, ooh, okay. So I find, it's on Netflix. It's from 2014. And I'm like, sweet. Start playing it. I'm like,
why does this say Styles White?
Yeah, that's exactly. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like Mike Flanagan. This is kind of dumb. So I paused it. I re-looked up first off, I looked up what title I was watching on Netflix. And then I looked that up on IMDb to find out that I was not watching the same movie I thought I was watching.
Brilliant.
Mike,
did you continue watching it?
No, I did not. Okay. So 2014 had the movie Ouija, or Ouija.
Yeah.
2016 had Mike Flanagan's prequel, Ouija, Origin of Evil.
What?
That is also on Netflix in the U.S., and that's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Much better.
That's so weird.
Much better.
Okay.
So it is this prequel, and
yeah,
because I saw enough of the first movie that you see ties to it. But this has Henry Thomas and
Henry's
no doubt, and Elizabeth Reeser, who's been in a lot of Flanagan's things as well. And the premise is, it's in the 50s.
Oh, Kate Siegel?
Barely. She's in it for just a short period there. She's not essential for the story, but she does help set it up, I guess, just introduce us into the world there. You have a single mom with two daughters living in this house, and the mom works as a medium, as a fortune teller, just...
Is she a real medium, or?
Well, she does scams. She basically fakes it all, so that she can pay the bills.
And that's how they get money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And her daughters are involved in the scheme as well, and everything else. Well,
and they're shaking the table,
the whole thing.
The lights are flickering.
Yeah. This, so at one point, the teenage daughter, the older one, she goes to a party at some friend's house, and they have just bought a Ouija board. And so they start to play, and she thinks it's dumb, but there's a slight creepiness to their interaction at that first.
Don't they use Ouija boards all the time?
This had been, because it's marketed as a game, like by Milton Bradley or something like that. I mean, it comes, you buy it in the game aisle of a store. And so
I don't think that should be correct.
No,
I don't think that's right.
No, but that's how in America, that's how it's been marketed forever. So the girl the teenage girl is talking to her mom about it, just more so like, this is what we did or whatever. And the mom was like, ooh, that would be a great prop for us, and for her thing.
True.
So she goes and gets one. She jury rigs it so that she can manipulate it to.
She can move it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then while she's doing that, some creepiness happens. And this is then when we start to get into the supernatural element. And
why though? Why does it start happening? Is it just that Ouija board?
Yeah, it's because the house has spirits there.
Oh.
So, and the little girl is the one who is most affected by this. Like Flanagan does in most of his things, you will see things in the far background that
that's so creepy.
Necessarily moving. You know what I mean? And they're not in focus. And then all of a sudden, maybe some light will shift or a character will move, or it will just be the character doing something. And then you finally notice what it is in the background. You're like, that's not right. There are some jump scares, the musical stings and stuff like that. So it progressively gets crazier and crazier until the final act. And then it just goes balls to the wall nuts. And you're like,
oh, really?
What in the crap? It is, this is not a happy movie. Okay. And
he doesn't do happy movies.
He doesn't. It is very satisfying. Very satisfying despite not being happy.
So does it have a satisfying ending?
For me, yeah, absolutely. I laughed. God
damn it, Chris. It's not a happy ending, is it?
No, it's not. I laughed. And then here's the other thing too. If you're going to watch the original, which I'm not sure I recommend, but whatever. At the very end of the credits, I mean, this is post credits. There is a scene that then ties in to the original, which I thought was very clever.
That's a prequel.
Huh?
The 2016 is a prequel.
2016 is a prequel, yes. So it came after, but Mike Flanagan included this segment so that it would tie in even more to its predecessor.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great, but I watched it on Netflix because in the US it's on Netflix here. They put up the here's other suggestions right when the credits started. And I'm like, I don't know. So I just moused up to watch credits and then sat through it all. And then I got the scene. So I'm like, that sucks. Netflix, you shouldn't do that because people will miss that little bit.
They will. Yeah. Nice.
So
do you think I'll enjoy it?
I think yes. You won't enjoy all of the freakiness, I think. And it's not terrifying. It was freakier and more creepy than I thought it was gonna be. We watched it late at night. My wife was very freaked out. We watched some Schitt's Creek afterwards just to put on a happy a happy mood and stuff like that. So it does have that intensity to it, and that moment, some of these things where you're like, that's. And because the last act goes very dark and just, yeah.
Is there a place in the movie where the characters are kind of okay and they think they've won and that I can just switch off?
No.
Damn it.
Okay. I love how it builds in this. I mean, I was really surprised by it. Not because Mike Flanagan did a good job, but because I had not really ever heard anything about this movie. And
was this his first?
No, it wasn't. And actually, what was the one? Absentia, which I watched last year, which is very weird and very bizarre, but also it has some really good moments to it. I think that was his first feature-length film. It's not awesome, but it is worth watching once, so.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thanks for letting me know what I shouldn't watch.
Happy to help.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about something slightly lighter, but more violent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Denzel's The Equalizer 3. I finally got to watch this. everybody compares it to John Wick, and I think that's doing it a disservice. This is not John Wick. It's a man with a history and a past that used to work for the government in an organization of the government that doesn't exist. It's that sort of clandestine. He's retired, he's stopped, but he keeps getting pulled back because a friend that used to be his handler or his boss has asked him to deal with something. At the end of the second one, that handler is killed, and has asked him to look out for a certain family member. That's kind of the premise for this story. So it's got like a nicely wrapped up trilogy. So we're set in Italy. So a lot of the shots that you find in this is very reminiscent of noir spy thriller, but with like beautiful alleyways, small steps, close corners. So that combat that you're going to get between the handout combat, between the fast kinetic action like he does, like, you know, and there wasn't too much of it, but you just saw him do it, because in the first two movies he was like timing, it's going to take me 6 seconds, 9 seconds. That was the gimmick that they used, how quickly he cleared the room. This time it's more like old man Denzel. He gets injured at the beginning of the movie, and that sets up for the reason he's like going to stay in this place, and that kind of thing. It keeps going on, and the reason why he involves a certain somebody. Now, the person that he does get to work with in this film is the same young lady from Man on Fire, which is what's her name?
Dakota Fanning.
Dakota Fanning. And it's, I was talking to you like off air, it's kind of like an unofficial reunion, as if he survived, and you know, they don't talk about it anymore, but many years later, you know, he kind of needs it and pulls back. I like to think of it that way, because I loved Man on Fire. It's still one of the best films of all time. I think might be Tony Scott's best.
Dude, it's such a powerful movie. I love that movie. Oh
yeah, it's awesome. It's so good, and it was great to see them in moments on screen together again. What is nice about this film is it does spend time getting you to like the characters that where Denzel's character is, where he's kind of getting used to the culture, the people, how wonderful the people are. So when stuff starts happening to the people, you really care. And so you have injured Denzel getting himself to a place of where he's better again. And, you know, once he is, he's going to start taking out the guys in, and it's often brutal. Like it's harsh, like the way he kills them, and it's fast and it's not for like, it's not for prettiness sake. It's just to kill
efficiency,
you, right? Yeah. And he does it great. So you feel his age in this, but I think it's on purpose. Because he is retired. He's kind of want to stop, but he's got something to finish up before he's going to stop forever, I'm guessing. I'm pretty sure we won't ever get another Equalizer. I think this is the story that they've wrapped up and they're finishing it. Surprisingly, the action is better than it is in 2. It's probably on par with what you get in 1. But the way the story, I think it has a better emotional beat. So it may end up in time being my favorite of the 3. At the moment, I probably still rank 1, 3, 2. Okay. But for me, I think 3 is way better than I was expecting. You always think that the third one's not going to be great. And it's always a surprise to me when they are. So.
That's fine. I've only seen number 2, which I know doesn't make sense. But
you've seen I mean, it's still fun, but it's like compared to 1 and 3.
Yeah, I wasn't as impressed with the ending of...
Yeah, the ending wasn't great too. I think that's what everybody was let down.
It just kind of devolved there. But I mean, the beginning with him and the credit card. They should have done some kind of either Uber ad or a credit card ad
100%,
with them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
5 stars.
missed an opportunity.
Some tie-in marketing there. Yeah. Oh, do you? Does this one end in a way that feels like it is wrapped up, or does it leave it kind of?
You know, they don't like allude that it's going to do any more.
Yeah.
But it is in a way like you're satisfied with where he's at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they could if they wanted to, but there's no need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I've been wanting to see this. It was one of those that really snuck up. I mean, you and I had been discussing it this week, that it just, where did this come from? Like, all of it. Nobody knew it was being made, and then all of a sudden, Equalizer 3 is coming.
Here it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Crazy.
I don't have anything else that I watched this week that is worthy of talking about, I think.
Okay. I'm going to talk about anime.
Ooh.
But it's my I don't know if I can call this anime.
Okay. What?
It doesn't come out until Thursday.
Ooh, an exclusive.
Thursday, Friday.
Right.
Yeah. Excuse me.
One. Bless you. Go for three. Go for three. Do I hear three?
I don't want to. Okay, so it's animated.
Okay.
It's beautifully animated. It's a Max original.
Oh.
Yep. I didn't even know this was coming out. And when I started reading information about this particular title, I realized they've come a long way to getting this being picked up by Max. So they've been working at this for a long time. It's called Scavengers Reign. And I think there's 12 episodes. Joseph Bennett and Charles Huttner, the remaining crew of a damaged interstellar freighter ship, finds themselves stranded on a beautiful yet unforgiving alien planet where they must survive long enough to escape or be rescued. As the survivors struggle to locate their downed ship and missing crewmates, their new home reveals a hostile world allowed to thrive without human interference. So this puts the creativeness of Avatar to shame.
Ooh.
Yeah, every single creature, plant is different and new. Like, I didn't know I needed this in my life until I saw how creative it was. It's often at times horrific and scary and terrifyingly gory, and then other times it's like so interesting, gory and weird, but you can't turn your eyes away from it. It's like a massive nod to some of those classic 80s hand-drawn animated projects. It has that like vibrancy and that color palette to it, but maybe they were on acid at the time while doing this, because it's that sort of hyper-realized creatures. I mean, you'd need to go and look at some of the designs of it, but if you watch the trailer for it, it gives you the idea of what you're getting in this.
I'm watching the trailer right now. I definitely see Avatar within this. But nice.
This is good. It's very, very good. The story, the soundtrack, the animation, the voice work, all very top tier. However, there's one caveat, and it's a massive one. The editing for the sound design with the dialogue is the worst I've ever come across in pitch levels. So I have to turn up my TV till, like, let's say 20, and that makes the music incredibly loud. But the dialogue of the volume is about this level, and the music is like, I've actually emailed them asking if it was the screeners that have been sent issue, or is this a aesthetic choice for their editing. If that is the case, people are going to get really annoyed at this. I tried it on my Mac, my phone, my TV, all the same issue. So I know this is like what I have is the issue. But if you can't hear what they're saying,
yeah, that's an issue. And this is a common problem nowadays too, where the mix.
Oh yeah, but this is
way worse.
Way worse. Like it can't be the actual edit. Like, this can't be right.
Yeah, I hope so. That is.
But how many times are you like up and down, and down in TV series and movies now? It's really weird. Like I'm glad it's not just us, because we're always doing that, trying to put the voices up, turning down the loudness of the volume. It's like they had a preset setting once back and everybody's using that, but that's not where we should be at anymore.
Well, yeah, because, a theatrical mix is different than what should be for home. And you should, if you have like an Atmos system, Dolby Atmos, then you can replicate some of that, but that should be a choice within there. Like it, defaults to something that most people have, stereo mix or a 3, a center channel and 2 surrounds or something like that. I mean that because you want to be able to hear the dialogue, because really otherwise why do you even have it there? Because it's
so beautiful. It's wonderful to see. You want to know what they're going through. It's a horrific adventure, but so mesmerizing. You really feel like you're like transported to another planet of wondrous things you haven't seen before, which is great. Yeah, to explain it, like you just, how are they going to breathe on this planet in certain places that have noxious gases? You literally take a creature and you stuff it on your nose and it enables you to breathe. And like, I wouldn't have thought of using a creature. I would have used like their oxygen tanks or whatever, but they're combining like biomass with electronics, and it's
nice.
It's really smart.
Very cool. And so this comes out on the 19th. 12 episodes. Did you watch the whole thing?
I haven't. I'm 5 episodes in, so I don't know if it finishes well, but so far I'm just like, I'm locked in. This is excellent.
Well, and it looks like, at least according to IMDb, they dropped the first 3 episodes at once. Do you know, is it then weekly episodes, or are they dropping a couple each time?
They haven't given me like a press release for it, so it may be slightly early. Maybe they'll release information. I presume it's going to be one, because that's generally what Max does. It's normally the one.
How long are the episodes?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Good.
No, I'm double checking now. I want to say like standard 25, but I feel like they're longer. Okay. So I'm just going to click a random episode, and it is going to tell me now. Okay, 24 minutes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So is it worth watching one at a time if that's how it ends up releasing, or chunking it is?
Yeah, I think one is fine, because there'll be a lot of times you'll be like, what the hell is this? What trip is it? And I think they generally have individual episodes titles giving you a story of what's happening in that bit. So there's a big arc, but they're normally got to do something in that episode to survive the planet once more. So yeah, I think individual episodes are fine.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Nice. All right. Do you have anything else?
I have. We're going to talk about our horrors.
That's right. What the heck? We have 2.
Yeah, so we have one we've chosen by ourselves each, and one that we were watching together.
Well, then we have 3 then, right?
Well, I thought we were talking one in the audio segment.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yes. Don't pay any attention to Chris. It's early. He has not had all of his coffee yet.
It's not early. What are you talking about?
I know. Okay. So do you want to do the one that we're talking about together, or?
I don't mind.
Okay.
You pick. You go for it.
Okay. Let's do our individual ones, and then we'll save the one that we can both talk about.
Okay.
So this is not a new movie, and it's more thriller. I don't think that everybody likes this movie, but it's been on demand and for rent for a long time, but it just came to Netflix in the US also. And it is called, oh crap, I was gonna Deliver Us from Evil, because the poster, the D and the evil are bigger, so it spells out devil, and so that's what's always in my head is devil, and I'm like, that's not what it's called. It's Deliver Us from Evil, and it's Eric Bana and Edgar Ramirez and Sean Harris. And it's based on a true story, based on a real person, real people. And so we follow this detective who is working cases in, I'm pretty sure it's New York. The place is really unimportant. And he comes across some just very horrific murders. And he discovers that there is a tie between them. These people seem to be going nuts a little bit. They're doing things that are just beyond like cruel. These are going very, very dark. And in that, he also meets Edgar Ramirez, who is a priest, sort of. He's an exorcist, and he's not what you think. I mean, if you look at him, you would not think priest. He drinks, goes to bars. He doesn't wear any type of religious garb. I mean, he's just got a leather jacket on and jeans and stuff, so you would never suspect that. They team up after a while. I loved the discourse that they have together, because Eric Bana is very much not a believer at all.
Right.
He doesn't believe in the possession element. He doesn't. He's agnostic, maybe even atheist. To just nope, that doesn't work.
I'm surprised the Hulk wouldn't, because he's seen some stuff.
Exactly. Well, and people are just bad, right? And Edgar Ramirez is the other way, obviously,
right? Because he's a priest.
Exactly. And so as they go along, they're searching after this unknown entity, person, somebody that's causing all of this havoc that they believe, and they uncover clues. There is a moment, though, because throughout this movie we watch the things happening, and most of the focus is on Eric Bana and just what it does to him, because you don't like him really as a character. He's not a nice guy. He's, you can understand why he's not necessarily nice, because of all of the horrific things that he witnesses and has to deal with, and then compartmentalize so he doesn't bring it home to his family. But there is a moment where you have Eric Bana and Edgar Ramirez sitting at a table in a bar, and they're just having a conversation. And it starts off just chatter and stuff, talking about this, and it goes into backstory. And there you get some really good meat. Now, this doesn't come at the beginning of the movie. This is towards the latter half of the movie, but we've already gotten to know these people somewhat, but now we understand some of their perspectives, how they approach things. And for me, that was really powerful, and I liked that. And I liked the way that conversation took place, because it just, the movie just kind of went whoosh, and paused for a second to let this transpire. There is excellent use of shadowing. So, characters are obscured, and you get like shadow across most of the face. And so you'll just see some eyes and then a mouth, and nothing looks like awesome. It's just, and not that it's not good makeup or effects. It's just, that's wrong. There are some fun practical effects that are employed here. The biggest downside to the movie, I think, is that we have an intense scene, a build up, this just exorcism-like situation, and then it's resolved. Build up, boom, done. And you're like, wait, did it really work? Did it not work? Is this just a ploy? What's going on? You know what I mean? And like, it felt very jarring and very abrupt. And
so it felt like it was almost like a setup for,
correct.
Like, it's not actually being dealt with. It's going to come back bigger, badder, stronger.
Exactly,
sort of thing.
yeah. And so that was very weird. And that was not as satisfying. Like, I was having a lot of fun up into it. It's not scary. I mean, it has some creep elements to it where you're like, that's just, and going back to the shadows too, like, we're put into a lot of very dark situations where there's very limited light. And so that works also because you never know, like, as a flashlight pans around, what are they going to land on? Or we don't even get to see the full context of an image that they're viewing. And so it's like, ooh, that's, so most of this is really, like, I had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed it. The ending, it detracts from that. I did find it very fascinating, though, that the dudes are real and they continued to work together after this one case.
Oh, it's based on a true story.
Based on a true story, based on real people, which is messed up.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how much is exaggerated for the movie, or played.
But I mean, that's a premise of a TV series I've ever heard of.
Right.
An exorcist and a cop working together. Dude.
Yeah. So if you've never seen it, it's 2014, I think. I enjoyed it. I did have a lot of fun with it. So I think it's worth watching at least once. There are conveniences within it. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but casual watch if you're looking for something new and just thrilling. The chase.
Olivia Munn is in this. Is she any good?
She's fine. She's not in it much. She plays Eric Bana's wife, and her role is minimal. So, even Sean Harris, who I love him as an actor, he's there, but he doesn't have a lot of speaking roles for a lot of it.
Right.
So,
nice. Okay. Certainly different.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So my choice is actually an anime, and it actually came out this week, and I didn't know I was going to use it as my choice for our kind of creepy horror thing, but I'll explain why now. So A Good Night World is a new anime that's just dropped on Netflix. There's 12 episodes. All of them are out now. It's about 4 miserable members of a dysfunctional household who have no idea that they have formed a happy unit in an immersive VR game with each other. So this was really interesting. It feels like 2 different series, 2 different storylines melded into one. You have the first 6 episodes, which show us how dysfunctional this family is. They're just broken. Something's happened in their past. The son spends all his time playing this game called Planet. It's very similar to the premise at first of SAO, which is Sword Art Online, which was very popular at one stage. And it has similar premises because a lot of anime has this thing where characters don't like their life. They go into another world, and that's the world we're experiencing. And a lot of those are fun and good, and I don't mind those animes at all. Except we spend a lot of time on Earth, and we see how they deal with their life outside of the game. And how hard it is and how horrible it is. That's kind of really the setting up of the first 6 episodes. Then the anime twists itself on its head with almost like... the best way to describe this is if someone was trying to do an Inception anime, Christopher Nolan's Inception, that's what this would be, but on a more horror scale. Yeah, so we're taking a popular topic to talk about nowadays, which is AI. So everybody's talking about it some way. You implement AI within a VR game, and then you use Inception sort of storytelling, and that's what you get in this. So at the one hand, you have a family unit that's broken. You want them to get together and sort out their issues and brokenness. And the father, you have a father that's just can't come to terms with what has happened. You have the son that blames the father for what has happened. You have the mother that can't stand the father and has left the household. And you have the brother who despises everybody in the family, including his brother. And they all play, somehow, they all play their alter egos in this game and join up as a family, not knowing that their family members are the ones that they're playing with. And so they in this virtual reality, they absolutely have an amazing family unit and love to spend their time there.
Weird.
And it works so well. Yeah. Which is a great idea in itself. But when it switches on its head, that's when it becomes horrific and horror and devastating in places. It's just like, wow, this is dark. And I can't really talk about it because that's spoiler territory, like massively spoiler territory. I can say that it has an ending that's very satisfying and somewhat complete. But there is a moment where you go, what? Similar to Inception or other Matrixy movies, you know, where the spinning top is like spinning. Is it about a fall? Isn't it? It leaves it somewhat open like that. And in my comments alone, everybody was like, but tell me, explain why it did this thing. And I was like, I'm not getting into that. I think that's gonna be up to your. I know where I think it's going.
Oh, that's fun though. I love it when those type of things create that discussion. Nice. Okay.
So this was a surprise because I would have been happy if it was just that SAO type, but then it does something different and it actually gets quite complicated. Like you have to follow it to understand what the hell is going on.
Nice.
Much like Inception the first time you watched it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it sounds a little bit like just how they join up unknowingly in the VR world to then create a family. I mean, it reminds me of Ready Player One, where where in that VR world he encounters some friends and then they become really, a true family there. So that fun. Okay. Yeah. So it all came out at once.
Yeah, it's all out now on Netflix. You can go and binge to your heart's content.
Nice. Okay. We're doing, because we have two movies, we're doing Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. Had you seen this before?
I had, but like in 2015.
Oh,
so
okay.
8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had never seen this. So this was the first time watching it. In the US, it's available on Paramount Plus.
I think that's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's directed by Christopher Landon, which he did Happy Death Day, Freaky, said to be doing Scream 7. So, you get a horror comedy within there just right off, and he does this very well, that genre.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ready Player One, Ty Sheridan, who is in that, he is the star of this, and it's three guys, three friends who are type of Boy Scouts, and the zombie apocalypse breaks out in their town, and they don't know it at first, and so then you just get to watch the events play out. I thought the humor was witty.
I really enjoyed this. Yeah, I thought it was great.
I love too that because they're high school students and while they're really good friends, that they're like these like nerds because they're always always see them wearing their uniform.
Why do they always wear their uniform everywhere? It doesn't make sense.
and what's his name? Sorry, I got to look it up. David Koechner, who plays their scout master. I mean, he's so good in this. He's perfect for the role. Just quirky. There's an obsession that he has, which is very, very funny and strange all at the same time. But they have this meeting that kicks off the movie, and you're like, there's three scouts here.
No one else.
What in the world?
And no one's coming.
No.
You immediately feel sad for them.
You do, yeah. And especially because at the beginning, at least one is taking it very seriously. One is semi-serious, and one is just kind of like, dude, let's just go. I'm done with this.
I've had enough of this.
Exactly. But what I really like is that they introduce a character that is meant to upset our expectations, because
yes,
it's a female character, and she's
beautiful female character. You think she's one thing,
exactly,
but
not. And that's where I love what he does. What Landon does with this is that he takes this stereotype and then says, "No, we're not going to go there. We're going to do this instead.
We're not going to do that." Yeah.
Tell me some of your thoughts on it.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of Shaun of the Dead, actually. There's a seriousness to it, but a comedy, a part of that really works. There are moments where you'll have a granny that has fake teeth, so she can't bite, but then she's biting the butt of a kid, and it's like, I got bit over the ass. And I was just like, that's funny. That's funny to me, that a zombie without the teeth, you can't actually get what it needs, but also an old granny zombie is biting your ass. There are moments in this movie that I just thought really worked. Cute moments as well, them trying to like buy alcohol, they can't do it, and it's kind of where they meet the girl, and like they're giving the
dude at the
hobo. The guy that lives in the street, and he's like buying everything but what they need. It's just like,
oh, he was funny. Yes.
There's characters that you love to hate. The sort of jock boyfriend.
Oh my gosh.
And there's always the girl that one of the kids is pining over. You have to have the ticks. Yeah. But at the end, I was very satisfied with like how it goes to like the heroes, the weapons that they use in the rave party. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did have a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I thought it was going to be silly, and I thought it was going to be.
It totally is that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it really. I should have expected it to be as funny as it was, and as engaging.
It's endearing, I thought, because it is coming of age as well.
And I cared about the characters, though, too. That was the thing, that it wasn't just the here's the story, we're going to thrust you into a zombie thing. It's we're watching this drama play out between the friends amidst this this backdrop there, and
which is why Shaun of the Dead works, because you love the characters and you're rooting for them. This is this similar kind of feeling. I'm not saying it is as good as Shaun of the Dead. I'm just saying that it's much better than people will ever. You look at the title, Scout's Guide to a Zombie Apocalypse, and you think, oh, that's going to be crap. And it sort of is, but it knows what it is. And it's kind of why it makes it fun.
Well, and I loved, they go, when they go to the hardware store, which is great, because you have scouts going into a place that, or maybe it was a sporting goods store. It doesn't really matter. They know how to make things out of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that because they got all these badges for the various things that they've done. They're going to MacGyver this zombie apocalypse.
It is. And what they come up with is fun. There is a sequence in a house in a room and involving a trampoline that is just... It was nailed by
that's one of the funniest things.
At one point. It's like...
yeah.
So,
it was so funny though. I was like, well, you don't see that every day.
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, this was, I'm glad that you put this on my radar, because I had seen it a bunch of times. I had it on a list, but it was not anywhere near the top. It was one of those that maybe sometime I'll get to it. The movie poster is not that inspiring.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And it looks cheap and very low budget, and yet it surpasses that considerably.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly good.
Yeah. No, I was really loving it.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you for giving that to me, for letting me know that. the suggestion because, lots of fun.
If you like Dale versus Tuck and Dale versus, and you like cooties, this is like up there.
Yeah.
Up that sort of.
Yeah. This.
You got cooties.
What a great movie. It's just so surprising. I had fun with that. Oh, man. All right. Well, we are going to be talking about a movie from the early 2000s called Ghost Ship in our audio only section, which we invite you to do that. You can find it on any podcasting platform that you happen to be on. Do all the YouTube-y things, like, share, subscribe. And yes, as Ruben had said, it's cheap and rote and sounds baggy, and we get that. But it does help. When you hit that thumbs up, it actually tells YouTube to help put this out to more people. And so we would appreciate if you could do that. We have a Patreon opportunity. Ruben said over 65 videos. Holy crap, dude. That's a lot. And we're doing some more. We're going to talking about The Descent, doing a deep dive into that today. So that'll go up on the platform. There are a few that are outside the paywall, so you can get a taste of what we do. It's patreon.com/thebeardedones. We'll have the description. We'll have the link in the description. It's also on the screen. We're very thankful for the patrons we have. It's a great little community. And we invite you to join there as well. I think that's it. Did I hit everything? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Take care.